Just to throw back to yesterday, Rachel Reeves has been doing a multitude of interviews about this Spring Statement and some of the ramifications of it, including a further set of money to be clawed back by what she was calling a over-generous benefit system just now. Here's a clip of what she had to say.
This government are determined, through the £1 billion package we announced yesterday, to support people, including those on sickness and disability benefits, to get back into work. Now, of course, those with the most severe sickness and disabilities, they're not going to be expected to work. And in fact, we want to provide them with more support. But for the thousands, tens of thousands of disabled people who are desperate to work but aren't given the support, we're going to change that with personalised, guaranteed, tailored support to help them fulfil their potential and move back into work and support them to stay in work. I think that is the right thing to do. It can help lift them out of low income, out of poverty, can support their families and can ensure then that the welfare state is sustainable for the long run. That's what Labour governments have done in the past with the New Deal, including the New Deal for disabled people, and that's what this government wants to do as well.
Well, that was the Chancellor speaking at breakfast time today. Tyron Wilson's a writer, a journalist. You've experienced universal credit, Tyron. You've actually been there, done that. Is she right?
I think everyone who sees the system up close agrees that the current benefit system doesn't really work, and some of the changes are really good. You know, things like the right to try work, more funding to support people back into work. But what I was really hoping we'd see yesterday after last week's proposals was changes on the PIP cuts, because after the changes they proposed, someone who can't wash beneath their waist or get into a shower or bath without help or even cut their own food without assistance, they won't qualify for disability benefits on the new system. I was really hoping there'd be something around that so those people could get the help they need, but instead they've come back with more cuts.
Well, hang on. I've heard government ministers repeatedly say that's not true. They are going to continue to help those who need the greatest support. Is there a disconnect? Is there a disconnect here?
There is a bit of a disconnect there. Yeah. They don't really seem to have an answer. They say brilliantly, of course, that the most disabled people will receive the support they got, but that they need. But the changes that they've announced, you need to score a 4 in at least one daily living element of the current scheme to be able to still qualify for disability benefits. And 2 points is someone who can't wash beneath their waist without assistance. 3 points is someone who can't get into a shower or bath without help. So if they're not changing that, I'm afraid they don't qualify.
It's as simple as that, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Is that the sort of issue where this has been too brutal, or do you think there's a broader principle at stake here?
Well, to be honest, I mean, if they just kind of announced a bit of a change to the scheme that was coming in, then yeah, it would be all fine. But as it stands, with the schemes they've got, you know, the points equaling what they do at the moment, saying explicitly you need at least 4 points on one of the daily living segments to be able to still qualify, it is still too brutal. I think everyone can kind of look at that and go, hang on, is that not what disability benefits are there for, to help people in those sorts of situations?
Okay, so there's a lot of lobbying to be done, isn't it, under the process which will now be undertaken, I guess, before the government makes these moves. The level of support, I mean, clearly from the disabled community or those who are benefits recipients will feel very particular about this, but do you think the general public still have sympathy? Or do you think they've been persuaded that actually the money is better spent elsewhere?
Well, this is the thing. I think when people think about I think a lot of people really do just agree on the principle that people who are disabled should get support. If someone can't get into a bath or a shower by themselves, if someone can't cut up food by themselves, that's exactly what the welfare system is there for, to help people in that sort of position. And to be honest, also, I kind of would question some of the kind of projections and calculations that they've got around this. The Office for Budgetary Responsibility thinks spending on mental health and disability benefits for people of working age, they think it's going to go up from 50 billion to 72 billion by the end of the decade, even after these changes, when they've said they're going to be bringing in reassessments, there are going to be more in-person assessments, they're going to make it so everyone on the additional universal credit top-up at the moment and everyone on PIP will need to go through the single PIP assessment. There are a lot of people who are on it now who won't qualify for it after that, so it feels pretty unrealistic to assume it's still going to be going up by as much as it was before on those kind of calculations. And when you look at it, it's not driven by inflation. They're clearly estimating it's going to be more claims, and that just doesn't really feel that realistic. And I think it's kind of, a lot of people have said the Office of Budgetary Responsibility, it doesn't really seem to have much of a trend of getting its projections right. And I'd look at that and go, hang on, how are you looking at that? Seeing cuts this brutal, probably going through and assuming it's still going to cost, keep on ballooning by about half as much as it already is now.
Tyron Wilson, thank you very much indeed for joining us today, the writer and the journalist. 51.